Hey guys, it's Brian from 3 Ravens Bushcraft, and today what we're going to go over is how to sharpen your axe. So stay tuned. Right, so I've had some people ask me in the past, mostly friends of course, hey Brian, how do you sharpen your axe? And so I thought, you know what, I'd make a quick video. I'm not going to go and spend all this time. Nobody needs to see me grinding away here. But I thought I'd show you my setup and how I do business, and then you'll have an idea. So first things first is you need a bench or you need some sturdy workspace to work on. So this is my bench. This is welcome to my workshop. This is my mess. So you need a bench, and then you need a way to clamp it down. So I've got a bunch of clamps. I'm just working on my my small forest axe here that needs to be profiled and sorted out. So I've just got my little clamp here. Okay, the next thing you're going to need is a file, depending on how bad your edge is. If your edge is good, you don't want to use a file. You're only going to put way more work into your life than you need to. So not all files are created equal. Some files, especially really cheap ones, they're going to work for a little bit and then they're just going to fade away and they're not going to do much good for you. Other files, especially if you're lucky and you can find some good old files, they've got some good old steel. So this is a Nicholson's file, and it's actually made in Canada, so that was kind of a nice touch too. So if you look at the file, you've got you're gonna have like two edges. I don't know, you probably can't see it, but you're gonna have like a cross checkered one, and then you're gonna have just one going one way. Okay, so generally the cross check or the bastard file is more aggressive, and then you've got your kind of your finer edge on this side. So we're gonna start with the more aggressive edge, and we're gonna go and show you how to make that work. Okay, so what you're going to end up doing is, again, you're going to look at that depending on what you need, so your more aggressive edge or your finer edge. And what you're going to do is you're going to use nice smooth strokes, and you're going to take material off. Right? That's sharpening in a nutshell. Is you're always taking material off of you're taking steel away. So I'm going to use my more aggressive edge. And this edge here, I need to kind of sort it out. This was a really old axe, and I kind of modified it and then chopped it up, and so I'm going to try to find that edge that I need to work. So you can put your file down on top, and you can kind of see that your edge is equal by kind of lining that up. So if your profile is good, meaning your shape of your edge is good, then now what we want to do is to actually start removing material. So I'm gonna take nice long strokes, and I'm gonna take material off. And once I've got, the right amount of material, or I think I've got the right, profile, I've got the edge, the shape I want it, I'm going to use the finer side to kind of clean that up. So files work best in one direction. They don't work kind of like a saw. So you want to use one direction. And so there we go. So you can look and see that I'm taking small filings off the axe. So I'm going to do this side, and then I'm going to flip it over and do the other side and continue on with that. And so I have it pretty close to where I need it, and you can already start getting that edge, and right now I've already got a burr, and that's a good thing as well, just like sharpening your knife. So now I've finished up the filing. So I filed it down, I have a nice edge, and from here I'm going to start using the stones. Now, some might ask, Brian, why don't we just use a grinder? It'd be so much faster and so much easier. The problem with a grinder is that it's going to heat up your edge, and the material in your edge is super fine, and so when it doesn't take much to heat that up. And once you heat that up, then you take the temper out of it. If you make your edge too thin, then you end up actually thinning out your edge, and you make it too fragile. So being able to do it slowly and with a file makes your edge strong, keeps your temper in your blade, and you know, because you've done all the work yourself nice and slowly, you haven't rushed it with a grinder, that you're going to have a good edge. If you've got a $5 root axe and you're going to go beat it into the ground all day, go ahead, take a grinder to it, because really it's only worth $5, and why do you want to spend all this time? If you have an axe that you want to love and you want to take care of for a long time, you're going to use a file, and then we're going to start using the stones. Okay, now on to the stones. So I have my stones, they're in water here. First thing is if you're going to buy stones, or even just a stone, you have to decide where you're gonna use as the lubricant. Will it be water or will it be oil? Now, if you continue to use water, it's not a big deal. I personally just like to use water on my stones. The reason I do is that way, if I take them out in the bush with me, I don't have to worry about carrying an extra thing of oil or honing oil or all those things, right? So I use water. So I soak my stones, for 10, 15 minutes, whatever. I kind of throw them in there if I'm going to start in the morning, and then I get on to sharpening when I get onto it, and I don't have to worry about it. They're always good. Now, this is the standard kind of Lansky puck. Okay, so this one here has two grits to it. You have your coarser grit and then your finer grit. So the Lansky pucks generally run you about $18 if you're lucky, and all the way up to $50 depending on. And if you get the Grand Forks or Wetterlings pucks, yeah, you're looking at $56 or more for a stone. That's not outrageous. It sounds like it at first, but think about it. This is a tool that's going to last you forever if you take care of it, right? So that's not a bad deal. So that's the the two-sided puck. Or if you're lucky enough and you can get to meet the right people in your life, you get to be you get like me. And so I had these two pucks gifted to me. One is a coarse and one is a fine. You can see they're both about almost an inch thick, so I'll never use these through ever, no matter how much I sharpen axes. And the beauty of it is that how I sharpen with these now makes my life that much safer and this much easier. So let me show you that. So I'm going to start with the coarse grit one. Again, here's our trusty axe, and I'm going to lock it in with my feet here. And I'm going to grab the puck so that none of my hand is actually over the edge, right? Because you're making a sharpened edge, and believe it or not, you should be able to cut paper with your axe when you're done with it. So, anyways, so you put the axe puck against the axe head. Let's see if I can do this straight on here. And then you take these nice circular motions. And the reason I like to sharpen my axe just right here in front of my face like this is this way, with it locked in, I can see exactly my edge contact with the stone. So I'm not guessing, am I getting it right, am I off a little, because this is imperative that you have the angle just right, because if it's not, you're going to end up having a really fragile edge, or you're going to have a really hard edge, but it's going to be dull, right? And so we're going to be right over that. I'm locked myself in. My body is connected with my thigh, my shoulder and my chest are together, and then my feet are locking it all in, and so I've got it braced almost like a little vise or a little clamp. And so I'm just going to use this and I'm going to sharpen that side of the blade. Now I'm right-handed, so maybe you have to switch it up and go with the other hand. So I make my way down, 5 times down, 5 times back up, making my circular motion, right? And then I'm going to switch. So to switch, all I do is I flip the axe handle over. Now I lock it in with my shoulder and my neck. I can now look down the blade, and when I'm using my puck now, I can lock it in and I can see exactly where that edge is, and then I'm making perfect contact and then continue it on. Again, my forearm is locked into my thigh, my shoulder and chest are locked in together, and then I've locked it in with my neck over here because I'm actually looking down the edge as I'm filing away or using my stone. So I'm going to get the perfect contact with that. Now, the reality of it is that sharpening anything is going to take you some time. So to think that, oh, my edge is sharp now, I'm good to go, probably not going to happen. This is going to be something that's going to take you a while. So this is a good time to maybe turn on some music and get comfortable, because you're going to be here for quite a while. I just thought of something. Not everybody has the luxury of having those great big pucks. So how do I do it when I've got just a small, dual-sided puck? So what I end up doing is I stick it in the palm of my hand. I keep my fingers far away from the edge, and I use the pressure of my hand on the puck to keep it together. So hands open. I'm cupping the puck in my hand, and I'm using it that way. Now my fingers are far away from the edge. I'm not putting a ton of pressure on, because if I push too hard, there's a very good chance that puck will slide into my hand, and I'll put the knife into the axe into my hand. So that's a bad idea. So I'm just using enough force to keep that edge on there, and I've got my fingers nice and clear away, and to switch over, same thing. Now, if I wanted to use it like this, then I'm going to have to put it in the end of my fingers like so, and use it this way. But again, personally, I like to have mine in my palm of my hand and use it this way. Okay? Remember, keep your fingers away from the edge. You're making it sharp for a reason. I've had people ask, I'm on a budget, I can't really afford to spend $50 on a rock, what do I do? Well, back to basic sharpening boards for knives. Still work here on axes, because all you're doing is removing material, and you're doing it in a systematic way so that you will get a good fine edge. So we take our sharpening boards. If you haven't made one of these, the easiest way to find one, I believe, is in Moore's book, Bushcraft, or he actually has a great knife sharpening video from Karamat, so you can check him out. But so all you do is you take a board, make sure it's good and flat. You don't want to have a really rough board. If you have a way to sand it at home, just make it smooth, that's good. Then take two-sided carpet tape, put it on either side of the board, And then on one side you can put a medium grit sandpaper, and on the back side you can put a fine. So what I generally use is 400, and you can see my 4 here, and then a 600. So all you do is the same thing as if you were gonna do to use your file. You could lock it onto your bench, or you can just put it in your hand, and the same thing, you're gonna take it and use it the same way you would with your file. So I might do 5 strokes on this side, flip it over, lock it in, and do 5 strokes on this side, and continue that up until my edge is good and polished, and it is where it needs to be. So this edge is getting pretty close to being where I want it to be. In fact, I probably could cut paper with it right now. So I'm gonna strop my edge, because just like my knives, I'm gonna strop my axes as well, because I want them to be good and sharp and do what I need them to do when asked to. So I have my strop. So you can take just a normal chunk of leather, like your leather belt, or you can go out and find an actual strop from a place that sells straight razors and those kind of things. What I've done again is I've made a sharpening board. This time I've glued or epoxied leather on it. So one side I just have leather, the other side I have leather with a polishing compound. And these polishing compounds are just these sticks, and you rub the stick onto the leather, and that stick has got a fine grit into it, and we can use that now to strop our axe. So same thing as a sharpening board. We're just going to take that, and then flip it over and do the same on the other side. And then I can do the same again on the other side. And then my edge should be pretty good to go. So, a little closer. Now if you look at the edge of my axe, you can see it's got a nice polished edge all the way down. So you can see the work of the file, and then you can see that the stones have taken off those burrs, and then now we've polished up the edge and made a nice clean edge that's nice and sharp, right? So we're good. We're done. Now your axe should be ready to go and should be able to do whatever you ask of it. You know, I got done this video and I thought to myself, I missed something. I told everybody you should be able to cut paper. That's just kind of a rough way to test your axe, but who am I to tell you to do something and not do it, right? So I've found one of my bills. Wouldn't it be great if we can just cut all our bills up and not use them? Okay, but there it is. Okay, so still got work to do on this axe. Admittedly, this was a quick video, and it looks like it should be about 20 minutes of work I'm only put into this, and so I still need to do some work on it to make it super sharp. I'm not shaving with it yet, that's for sure, but it's going to do what I need it to do. So hopefully your axe will do the same, and hopefully you'll get out in the woods more. So this is Brian from Three Ravens Bushcraft, and have a great day in the woods. Cheers.